Hello, private security professionals, and welcome to the Hardened Civilian YouTube channel. Build versus buy are two common ways of starting a business. You can either choose to build a private security agency from scratch or buy an existing one. In this video, I will give you a detailed checklist that will tell you exactly what to look at while buying a PSA so that you don't end up buying a wrong one. So let's get started. So the first thing that you are going to do while buying a private security agency is financial due diligence. And this is what you are going to look at. First thing is revenue and profitability. Revenue, also known as the top line, profitability, also known as the bottom line, within which you have to first see what is the track record of this private security agency for the last 3 years. Look at the P&L, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. Check the revenue streams for the quality as well. Now, when I say quality, what I mean is that you have to check whether this is sticky revenue, which is contracted security services, or this is one-time revenue or non-sticky revenues such as event-based revenue. Then you have to come down to the bottom line, which is the profitability at both an EBITDA level and net margin level. These are finance concepts. So if you're not aware of these concepts, please Google it, YouTube it. There are enough and more videos that will teach you these concepts. But what you also have to focus is that from your revenue to your profitability, the expense items, what is the magnitude of those expense items as a percentage of revenue, right? And then you must compare it with what the industry average is. That will tell you whether this particular private security agency that you are seeking to buy is doing a good job at managing its finances or not. Second thing that you have to check is the outstanding liabilities. Now, within this, there could be debt, loan, pending salaries, some legal contingencies for any legal disputes that this private security agency could be involved in. And then, of course, there are tax compliances issues that could be there. So you have to check for GST, TDS, income tax, PF, ESIC compliance, and see whether or not the company has done a good job at avoiding all penalties, right? In terms of debt, loan, pending salaries, see, debt and loans are a regular or a usual part of doing business, but pending salaries, not so much. So if you find such a line item, so you have to dig down and find out as to why that particular line item is looking a little off, right? Third thing that you have to do here is check client payment cycles and cash flow. There is one golden rule that I teach or share with all my industry colleagues, that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is reality, right? So looking at the cash flow cycle, the payment cycle is extremely important for you. Here you have to first see how quickly are the clients paying this private security agency. Are the clients taking a long credit period, let's say 30 days, 45 days, even 90 days in some cases, or are they paying in time as and when the invoice has been issued to them, right? Because delayed payments can become a big burden to you, both in terms of choking your cash flow as well as requiring you to put that cash flow in that business in terms of working capital, right? Then you have to see that what is the client quality. Are majority of the clients not paying on time, or is it just a small chunk? And even if that small chunk is there, what is their contribution to the revenue as a percentage? Which brings me to my fourth point, which is revenue concentration risk. This means that majority of the revenue of the company should not be dependent on only a handful of clients. Good quality revenue has to come from diversified sources in a timely fashion. So that is what you have to check. So for example, if 70% of revenue comes from one or two big clients, then it is a big risk, because if tomorrow these clients were to go away or not renew your contract, then you are running the risk of shutting down, right? So you have to ensure that the diversified sources of revenue are there. And then you also must check that what are the renewal rates. Are clients really happy with the services of this private security agency? Are they really renewing their contract with this private security agency without any undue benefits being given to them, right? So what companies do is, to entice clients to renew their contract, they will extend the credit terms. They will say you pay us after 90 days more, but you renew your contract. That is not a healthy practice to follow. If your target private security agency is doing that, it is best avoided. Second step is operational and legal review. This is where we talk about execution, right? How good of an executionist is this private security agency? First, you have to see is licenses and compliance. Here, you have to first and foremost check whether the company is PASARA compliant. Are all the guards registered under ESIC and PF? By the way, all the guards being registered under ESIC and PF is a requirement under PASARA itself, right? So you must check whether the company is complying with all the laws applicable to this business. And then if the company has armed guards, there are firearms involved, then whether or not they have been legally sourced and licensed. The second thing that you have to look at is the guard quality and training. Very important, because this again will tie to another one of our points when we move forward, and I'll mention that to you. But guard quality and training is going to be the biggest differentiator for any private security agency. So you must see what is the recruitment process. Is this private security agency hiring guards by themselves? Have they employed a third party? Is their recruitment process transparent, robust, checking for the right skills or not? Then what about background verification of the people who have been hired? Is the company following the guidelines under the PASARA Act, that there is a mandatory police verification process before hiring a security guard? And then there are different checks that a company should be doing, right? And then you have to look at the training quality. Do the guards really have security knowledge, security awareness, and security training imbibed in them? PASARA mandates that before becoming a security guard, a person must undergo 20 working days. So 8 hours in a day, 20 working days, so total of 160 hours of security training before they can be called a security guard. So has this company really hired people who have been trained properly? This is what you have to check here. And as I said, I can't stress this enough. This is one of the most important things that you must be aware of. The third thing is attrition rate. Attrition rate is simply how many people of the total lot are leaving the company and in what time period. If that attrition rate is high, then it is a big cost for the company. And then you must also explore as to why that attrition rate is that high. The third thing here is again contracts and client agreements. How robust or how well worded are the client contracts? Are there loopholes? Has the PSA done a bad job at drafting the agreements? This is what you have to check, because this will directly affect you once you take over this company. Then what are the termination clauses? In what scenarios can a client or the PSA get out of a said contract? What is the pricing structure? Is it fixed monthly versus hourly billing? What is the credit period again, right? What are the terms of payments? What are the modes of payments, right? So these are the things that you must check. Then comes tech and automation, again very important. See, today if you are getting into the private security business, then you must have the vision of doing something different and doing something in sync with the fast evolving client expectations. And a large part of that is integration of technology in the suite of security services. So you must see that the PSA that you are going to acquire today, do they have tech integration in their offerings? Because if they don't, then you will have to start from scratch. And the whole reason for you to buy out a PSA and not start from scratch is to get that advantage, right? Then comes competitive and market position. See, at the end of the day, everything is relative. A company could be doing X amount of revenue, but you must evaluate that amount of revenue against an industry benchmark. How do you know that X amount of revenue is good or bad? Is it enough? Is it not? That can only happen when you're comparing things against industry benchmarks. So you must do that. You must first focus on brand reputation, where you will look at online reviews, word of mouth feedback, industry standing, right? Talk to people, engage with the stakeholders who are already engaged with this particular PSA that you're looking at. Speak to them, understand from them their perception of this particular PSA. Then, of course, client satisfaction is very, very important. Some of it will be visible in the online reviews, but if the PSA allows, or if you are able to, then do speak to the clients of this PSA, especially those who did not renew the contract with them. Ask them what was the issue, because that same issue could crop up with your existing clients. And tomorrow you might have a very bad asset on your hands. So please do that. Then of course, as I said in the last slide, that this is where you have to see that what is the differentiation of this private security agency, what is the unique selling proposition. If this private security agency is just another PSA in the crowd of 26,000 plus and growing number of PSAs in India, then what is the point? You will then again end up struggling like the many other PSAs who do not have a differentiated play. You must understand what is it that is differentiating this PSA, right? And then the biggest tell of this differentiation is any specialized service offering or business model innovation or execution intensity. Is there something different that this PSA is doing in all these three things? If there is no difference, then how does it matter whether you buy this PSA or some other PSA? Then you must again come to employee loyalty and culture. Employee loyalty is visible in the attrition rate. If the attrition rate is high, that means employees are not loyal. You must investigate as to why that is the case. And then, of course, are the people trained properly? Are the people really a part of that PSA? Because that tells you what kind of a culture this PSA will hand you over, right? Of course, tomorrow when you acquire this PSA, you will be building a new culture. So you must see that the kind of culture that you want to build, is this PSA's existing culture in sync with that or not? Because if it isn't, then you can expect that a lot of people who are currently part of this PSA are going to leave you. So you must buy an asset which is in line with what you have in mind, because that will make post merger or post acquisition integration much easier, much smoother. So here is a list of red flags to watch out for, right? Avoid a PSA which has any of these red flags at all cost. First is high client churn rate. If your private security agency, if the target private security agency is a leaky bucket, which means that even though they are able to acquire new clients, their existing clients are going away. There is no point getting into that fight. There's no point acquiring such a PSA. Second is unaccounted cash transactions, which means that there could be involvement of black money. You will end up in trouble. Please avoid such a PSA. Then there could be pending court cases or disputes with employee clients. Maybe today these are pending in court, but tomorrow you might have to face an unfavorable judgment, which could translate into a big financial liability for the company, which means a big financial liability for you. So please be aware. Fourth thing is over reliance on one or two big clients. As I said, revenue must come from great quality diversified sources. If the PSA is over indexed on particular client, it is best avoided. And the last one is excessive loan burden or negative cash flow trends, right? If the PSA has to keep funding its existence or even growth, right, with funds that they don't own, which means that they have to loan funds to keep their business running, to keep the lights on, that is a big red flag. Please avoid such a PSA at all cost. Can't stress this enough. One thing that I must mention here is that when you acquire a private security agency in India, you will have to reapply for the Pasara license. The Pasara license is not transferable. So keep that in mind, that that will be an additional cost of both time and money and effort for you once you are done with this acquisition. Who are we? We are 360 PSA and we are here to make your PSA simply the best. We only wish to work with a handful of private security agencies in India who have the vision and the hunger to dominate this industry and not be just another PSA. If this makes sense to you and you are a private security agency who wants to win the market, then get in touch with us. The credentials are on your screen. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Please like the video, share it with your network, and do subscribe to the Hardened Civilian YouTube channel. We will see you in the next video.